Good evening, everyone. This is the Ask Dr. Renee show. I am your host, Dr. Renee. And for anyone that has not tuned in before, this show is here to motivate and inspire you to live the life you deserve. I have had so many guests, and everyone does all sorts of different things, but everyone's story somehow motivates and inspires me, and I hope that in turn it does the same for you. In the past, we've had Elvira Guzman of LVGPR. We've had Cupid of the Cupid Shuffle and Q-Robics. Shanti Das, the hip-hop professional, Press Reset Entertainment. Diane Valentine, who's now created the Valentine Cup besides being a celebrity wedding planner and event producer. Alicia Butterfield-Jones of Ween. And Paul Carrick-Brunson of the Paul Carrick-Brunson Agency, also the host of the Our World show on TV1 on Black Enterprise. So tonight, we are blessed to have Linette Payne, whom I call Miss Payne because that's just the way I grew up, and she knows that that's what I call her. So Miss Payne is actually the mother of Chrisette, Michele, and Lem Payne Jr., and whoever's not familiar with Chrisette Michele, please, please, please go get familiar with her. She's a phenomenal artist as well as a wonderful person, and now you can see the wonderful woman that helped to raise her to be the great person she is. Today, it starts a Mother's Day series we're going to have. So today we have her, and then on Tuesday we will have Yasin Bey, also known as Mos Def. We'll have his mom, Umi. And then on Thursday we will have Drew Sidora, who's been on The Game, and she's in the new movie with Amber Rose that comes out on Friday called Sister Code that will be in the theaters on Friday. And so, and then Sunday we'll have a surprise guest, and hopefully by the end of the show we can make that announcement. But thank you so much, Miss Payne, for joining us this evening because I know you are extremely busy.
I'm delighted. Thank you for having me.
So let's get started. So you grew up in New York?
Yes, I grew up in Queens, New York, in Long Island City.
Okay. And how many siblings do you have?
There's 7 of us. I'm number 3.
Wow. So
yeah.
Now your parents, were they educated? I know that you're an educator, your husband's an educator. What did your parents do for a living?
My husband, my father actually was a reverend.
Okay.
And yeah, he was also an accountant, but if you met him, he was usually in church. So he ended up being the church accountant for a lot of people. My mother was a keyboard operator. I had parents who were working constantly, but, they didn't have degrees, so they did the best they could with 7 children.
That's wonderful. And I know that you all are very successful because I've heard you talk about your siblings, so that is a wonderful accomplishment. Now, when you grew up, did you always want to be a teacher, or was that something you just figured out when you got to college?
I wanted to be a teacher since I was 5 years old. I was obsessed with school. I was an A student, and I don't know why people want to be teachers, but I wanted to stand in front of the room and write on the chalkboard and teach everybody. So I call it a gift because it didn't make any sense. I just wanted to be a teacher, and I said that for as long as I could talk. So yeah, something inside of me.
So what did you in college? What did you major in?
I majored in elementary education. I minored in the behavioral sciences.
Okay.
At that time, New York City came up with this big thing. If you get your master's in special education, we will pay for it. So I end up, you'll forgive the phones, this is my life. So I end up getting my master's in special education.
Okay. And my mother got a master's right away as well. So you always had a desire to teach special needs children then?
Well, I didn't know about special needs children.
Okay.
I knew there were bad children. I grew up in the project. I did not know at that time that they had special needs. So I realized later through education that those kids were emotionally disturbed. But back in the day, in the 70s, they had all other kind of names for those kids. So I always wanted to work with kids, and I was I was a little bit strange. Like people used to come to me for counseling. I probably was 10. So I didn't think anything. That was just a gifting of mine, I think, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So later on I got really into it, but in the beginning I just thought I was, like a moderator to help people stay alive. I don't know what I thought.
So what did you taught? You taught elementary school then?
I never got to teach regular elementary school.
Okay.
New York City was desperate for special education teachers, and I learned all the stuff I knew about troubled children by fire. Literally thrown into a classroom I was 21 and the kids were 21 or 22. It was a baptism by fire. And that's how I started in special ed. Yeah. Later
Wow.
on because I got out of it to try regular ed and I didn't like it and I went back to special ed.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how old were these kids then?
When I started, they needed somebody in Canarsie High School or something like that.
Oh.
My birthday's in September.
Yeah.
So I was 21, and I just when they have that rule that they can stay in school until they're 21. So I walk in and there are kids as old as I was.
Oh my goodness.
It was a nightmare, and that I just did the best I could that first year. It was in Brooklyn, and it was a murder.
So you taught. I mean, I think it takes a special person to teach. Period, because I don't have the patience. But to teach people with special needs, I think is above and beyond. So kudos to you for educating all those people, because I'm sure you made a difference in their lives. Now, where did it come in that you started having the therapeutic home and started working with those kids?
When I started working with the kids who we're talking about, and they started sharing their stories, I fell in love with those types of kids. To be honest with you, I have more respect for parents raising like mental retarded or a Down syndrome, because that you really need. That's like 24/7. These kids are brilliant. But their temper, or they have some other chemical imbalance that makes their behavior a problem. And I fell in love with these kids. When I developed certain tools to learn how to control them, I felt there are more kids out there like this. And when I met my husband, and he told me how he was when he was a child, he was one of them. So we decided that we would just get all of these kids and help them, and we became therapeutic foster parents. So that's our crazy story. And we had foster kids from the time Chrissy was born. Yeah, and they were all therapeutic foster kids. So yeah.
And so, can you define what does therapeutic mean? So just so that the average person knows.
The kids who were diagnosed with certain illnesses could not be just taken on by regular foster parents by law, because you have to know about their medication, you have to know the seriousness of their illness, or otherwise the kids were sort of being abused. So we had to take this class. I don't remember how long it was, but we had to be certified as therapeutic foster parents with some education of some of these diseases. What was so amazing to me is that when Lem and I sat down, we realized it was the same stuff that we were learning, bipolar and ADD. A lot of the other parents were shocked. They never heard of these things. So we were like, this really goes along with what we are doing. So that's what it is. They just educate you as best you can, so you don't bring them in your home and treat them like other people would,
Gotcha. So how many kids roughly have you seen through your house?
We probably, I'd say, I never counted. I'd say 15, 16. Not at all at the same time, of course.
Right.
They encourage you to take siblings. So some of my worst memories are with siblings because they kind of already raised themselves and it's difficult, and that's why they end up separating siblings. But I'd say 15, 16 kids, yeah. Yeah.
Wow, that's wonderful. And so, how did you meet Mr. Payne?
I met Mr. Payne at Beulah Church. Another weird story. My father was a reverend, and my father was one of these, if we were settled in a church and happy and had a lot of friends, he would say, that church doesn't need us. We got to go where we're needed. And we went from church to church. My father was a person who, when like a pastor died, they would send Elder Bryant there. So he sent us to Beulah. Beulah was empty. It was a 750-seat, beautiful old theater, empty. And my father went there until they sent another pastor. And that was where Lem was raised as a child. So we were there starting Beulah over. And then the whole Payne family that was raised there came in, and that's how I met Lem.
Yeah. Oh, so you guys have known each other for quite some time.
We knew each other for about 10 years before we got married. Yeah, we knew each other for a long, long time. Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. Wonderful. So, excuse me. So now he's a teacher as well. He was a teacher as well, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So just smart people, period. So you have 3 kids. Now, Chrisette always sang, correct?
Chrisette always sang. My husband and I sing. I want to say that we sing professionally, but we've never, our parents would not allow us to do what we've done for Chrisette. So my husband was such a good soloist that he won Apollo a lot of times. He had letters from Barry Gordy. He was supposed to do all this, and his father would not let him.
Wow.
We both grew up in those types of homes. Like, there was no thought of us saying we're going to be a star. It's not happening. It wasn't thought of. So she grew up around seeing us do concerts and whatnot. And then she developed this voice. I don't know where Chrisette got her voice from. She's more like her father's voice, but Chrisette has developed her own style, from jazz and other people that she admired and loved.
Definitely. Yeah. And then you were the choir director, right?
I was the everything. I know Chrisette talks. I know she talks about me being the choir director, but the truth is, when you go into these churches and there's no one, you're everything. I mean, I was also the junior missionary president. I was the Hands Across the Sea president. So anybody who had the nerve to stand up and direct a choir, I mean, as the church got bigger, he needed people who could sing and everything. So that fell in my lap. But there's not a position that a woman could hold in that church that I have not held, because it was needed, So
definitely,
she remembered
definitely.
that.
Oh, and let me tell, the way that I ended up meeting this wonderful woman was outside of a venue in Chicago. I knew this lady looked a whole lot like Chrisette Michele, and we had been communicating via email. And so I just walked up to her and said, "Excuse me, are you Miss Payne?" And she said, "Yes." And I said, "Well, I'm Dr. Renee." And she said, "Oh, my goodness." And so that's how we met in person.
Yeah, that was a long time ago, too.
A long time ago. That was like, I mean, honestly, I don't know if you knew, but I went to the Heineken Red Star Soul that Chrisette performed at with Bilal, and I think Angie Stone performed that night. And, I mean, this was before she had a deal. No one knew who she was. She opened.
We knew you. I figured we knew you that long. That was the beginning. We knew
that was the beginning, yeah.
Yes.
And I was like, I went to that show, and I told my sister, as soon as I got home, I said, "This girl performed tonight, and she was so good. I don't know who she is, but she could sing." And then I think after that, I think Lost One came out before her first CD, right?
Yeah, who?
Jay-Z?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then I was reading the credits, because Lost One was my song, to the point that I was playing it at my parents' house. My mother came home and was like, "What is wrong with you?" I was sitting on the couch crying because the song was just so sad, because, his nephew had died, and And I was
Yes.
just, my mother's like, what are you listening to? And then I looked at the credits and realized it was her. And I told my sister, I go, I think this is the girl I saw that at that concert. And she's like, really? I said, yeah. And then I posted it recently after I went to one of her shows while she was singing. I did a little video of her singing, we call it the Abstinence Song. Why am I losing the name of the
Oh,
song?
wait.
You know what I'm talking about. I can't think of the name right now, but it'll come to me.
Yeah,
If I have
yeah.
my way. Exactly. So my sister and I, we called it the Abstinence Song, and my sister and I haven't lived in the same state in a long time, and we both got together sometime, and we were on the phone, and I said, have you heard the Abstinence Song? And she knew
Oh,
exactly what I was talking
it's
about.
funny.
That's our little running joke, that we call it the
Uh,
Abstinence Song. But we were like, that is, and then the CD came out. I bought the CD the day it came out, and I was like, Alicia, this is that girl, and she can sing. And so then she got it, and she's like, oh, she is really good. And I mean, it's just, it's been history ever since then. But yeah, I've been there since the very beginning when nobody
yeah.
knew. She came to the
And it's
bookstore, nobody knew who she was.
states that you didn't live in. So everywhere we went, we expected to turn around and see you no matter where. I didn't like that. I remember stuff like that.
Yes,
Yep.
and then it was wonderful. I mean, I'm such a music person, and I love music so much. I love when I can experience it with certain people. And so when we were at Essence one year with you and standing there with you while she was on stage, and we're all just singing away, I was like, this is just heaven on earth. It was so much fun. But yeah, so and I mean, she's just so talented, and I knew that, and I know that the songwriting also, you had a hand in that too, right? You kind of know a little bit about that as well, right?
Lucky enough that every now and then she'd come and ask me for a word. I honestly would not know that I could write until I sat and watched her do the process, and I see how words come to you. But I think I'm more of a person that can put together a song, what it should be about. So every now and then, I was privileged enough to say, "Ma, what do you think? What do you hear?" Because you actually hear the song when you hear the whole beat, and then it puts you in a mood, and then you know what to write about. So yeah, yeah, she
Yeah.
helped
So
me out.
yeah, I mean, it's one thing to be able to sing the song, but when you can write it and I mean,
Yeah.
has such an impact on people. I remember I told her one day that I was going to sleep every night to I'm okay. Not
Yes.
the fast I'll be okay, but I'm okay. I went to
Yes.
bed
Yeah.
to that for
Yeah.
weeks on repeat. Just,
I
I
love
mean, the
that.
song just spoke to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, she's extremely gifted in this, and she does not understand that. I said, Chrisette, because I get upset when she even invites somebody to sing because it comes out different. I said, Chrisette, you got to write your songs because they come from a place people, that's your soul. So yeah, we love that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, so you have, like I said, the three kids. Chrisette's the oldest, and your middle child, recently on R&B Divas LA, Chrisette, as well as you and Lem Payne Jr., you guys discussed that he has bipolar disorder. So
Yes.
can you
Yes.
please tell the audience, and actually, I think you saw it. I recently wrote an article for Madame Noir about that, and just so other people would know what to look for. But what did you see that made you decide, oh, we need to go and have this looked at?
I think that the most important symptom is tremendous mood swings. People call those people Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Oh, he's like night and day. Oh, he's moody. So all of us are moody to some degree, but we're talking about people who can flip from flying from the ceiling with happiness, and then one thing is said, and they fall and they're depressed for the rest of the day. So that's the main thing that you see with Lem. When he began to be manic, he was actually staying out all night, and we didn't know it until my husband started suspecting certain things and literally went out and put his hand on the car. And he's like, he's been driving around in our car all. I mean, I never forget that day. I said, it's impossible. He doesn't drive. No, he's been in the bed. And then when we went to talk to him, I took him, we went to emergency, and I said, this is not reefer. I said, I know him and his friends might be beginning to smoke reefer. I said, this boy's on something else. No one couldn't have told me that he wasn't taking crack, cocaine, because the things that you go through with the imbalance in chemical imbalance literally take over you like that. And I made them do the test over and over because I wanted to put him away in the center. And that's when I became like a bipolar advocate. Because if a person could go through all of that, at that point he had been up for days. He hadn't slept or probably hadn't eaten. He was running around and he was just, looking like somebody that was on drugs. And that's when I became very serious. When they diagnosed it as bipolar, I mean, it's one of those things that I'm passionate about because it's serious. It is a chemical imbalance with these kids. But what you will see is them just being like either they'll be happy one minute, then plastic the next minute. Their emotions shoot back and forth. And it's very scary.
But by the grace of God, you were able to, work with him, get him through high school, which, a lot of parents could never have possibly done. So kudos to you that you were able to do that because, like I said, it's not an easy feat, especially as a young man, a young black man. So how did you, and I tried to address this a little in the article, but how did you work with your family? Because I'm sure outside looking in, family members didn't understand what was going on. And, in our community, unfortunately, they have such stigmas against mental illness. So how did you deal with that?
I'm very glad that you asked that question. I had to let go of everyone. I admire my family. Out of the 7 children, 6 of us have degrees and 4 of us have masters that's coming from the project. And so I did every single time there was a meeting and little Lim was a little erratic or he was standing up pacing, I get the same questions. Lem, how are you doing in school? And I'm telling you, Dr. Renee, I had to make a decision to protect my child. Now, that happened immediately. When we got home, if we was going to argue about how we were going to discipline him, this or that, that was a different story. But there was something about what my husband had went through as a child that made us decided that we were going to protect him. And that's something that I'm pretty strong about. Bipolar children can take advantage of the diagnosis and drive you crazy, where they'll run in the house and you'll be in the crazy house. and they're very smart. So if anybody came to see what was wrong, they'll probably tell them you got bipolar. I mean, they're very manipulative. But they are their worst enemy. So what happened was every time somebody would approach them and start asking a question, he'd start being erratic. He would dig a deeper hole. I don't like school. I don't like math. Instead of him just saying, oh, I'm doing okay, he would just make it a bigger hole. So we have walked out of many dinners. We have told him many times, you can stay in your room. It's okay. We know that you're being sort of like tortured. And all of those decisions were very difficult. We had to decide that we were not spoiling him, because I am the worst tyrant person that there is. I don't care about your diagnosis. You know what I'm saying? I really don't care. I don't care, because if you're bipolar, it is your responsibility when you get a certain age to read about it, just like they tell me I have diabetes or whatever. It's my responsibility to make sure I'm taking care of myself. So I was just upset because those people didn't believe anything was wrong with it. So they would say things like, "Oh, you just lazy." They would say the same things that everybody else said. Well, what do you mean he didn't go to school today? What do you mean he's having a mood? What do you mean he's manic? And we tried for a couple of months, I'd say, to describe it. And after that, we said, this is not working. Lem, you and I are going to have to understand this. We're going to have to bring this child through it, because, it wasn't easy at all. It just wasn't easy. I didn't know when I was saying too much, but I decided that if God gave me a bipolar child, then he's going to be the poster child for bipolar. And that's what Lem is going to be. These people.
Oh yeah, because he's so talented. I mean, he raps, he sings, he dances, he writes music as well, correct?
He writes music like Chris. So that was another miracle that we discovered. I knew it. The miracle was for Chrissy to know it. So when he wrote these last songs, as now what's going on, she was like, what? So she was like, well, I said, yeah. I said, and listen to this one. And from then on, she said, I trust his judgment. And what her decision was, I'm not going to let any label do to him what they did to me. He's writing all of his songs. So this is a very exciting time for me. It's still crazy, but it's different because we see the end. At that time, we see the end.
Right. And so what she's talking about is Chrisette has started her own label, Rich Hipster, and so she is in charge of everything. And her first artist, besides herself, is her brother. So this is amazing, but I will never forget one day you told me, you said the record label is nothing but a bank, and I will never forget that line. You were like, there's no point, Renee, they're just a bank. That's all they're doing is giving out money. That's it.
Yeah, no, it's the scary thing about that is they give you the feeling like your voice is being heard. Because you're in the limelight, they're spending money on you, but that bait and switch, I'm going to give you $100,000, but you're going to owe me for the rest of your life. I mean, that's the way it is. The old plantations that, like the slaves lived on. Okay, this land is yours, but you owe me everything on it. It just is an unnecessary, it's an unnecessary bad experience for artists. I'm sure there are small labels that are not like that, but the bigger labels that are now falling apart, that's the way it is. And it's a problem. It was a problem especially for me because Chrisette has never been as compliant as I am. She's not a compliant person. And she's very sensitive. So she picked up right away that these people are not exactly interested in me, So it's been a battle.
Yeah. If anyone has any questions, you can click. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a little box in the bottom of the video that says if you'd like to participate, click on that. It'll take you to another screen. There's in the upper right-hand corner, there are white boxes. There's 9 boxes. Click on that little icon. A Q&A button will come up. Click on Q&A, and you'll see on the right-hand side a column. It'll say Ask a Question at the bottom, and please feel free. Also, you can tweet me questions. Remember, my Twitter ID is @AskDrRenee, or you can just use the hashtag AskDrReneeShow. So anyone that has any questions out there, please do let us know, and we will get to those shortly. So with the label, so first of all, Chrisette gets signed, And you were not her manager at first.
Right, I was not.
Right. So
Um,
she gets signed, and what happened then?
she had a young man who was very ambitious. They met in Five Town College. I don't know, to this day, I don't know how little or how much he knew about the business himself. I know that he spotted Chrisette from way down the road. Um, and he knew that this was before there was any label talk whatsoever. He knew right away that she could become a star. And he built his whole career around Chrisette. He built a basement in his home. He invited her over. He helped her make those records. He let her hire producers from Five Towns and other places. That part was good. The problem was that Chrisette, in her anxiety to get these records done, was just signing everything, not realizing that she needed her own lawyer. You know, he convinced her that, look, this man could be both of our lawyers, which, you know, that's ridiculous.
Bad
And
idea.
and she was 22 years old. So here is this man that has all this money from somewhere, dumping it into you. Why should you listen to mom? It was one of those things. So, you know, it ended up a terrible lawsuit that lasts for 7 years. And we sued him. Um, it was just it was just a long drawn out time. Yeah. So thank
Yeah,
God
I
we settled.
remember.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It was
So that's
forever.
good that
I
that's
think
all
that,
done.
yeah, that affected her mood also. I mean, I can't sit up here and say there weren't some wonderful people. Jay-Z is a wonderful person. Um, we didn't just meet Jay-Z. He came in as president as we were signed. So we became friends. And to be honest with you, if anybody said, oh, you going to be down with Jay-Z, I would say no. Because some people, they had seen so-and-so. It's like, yeah. But we were like in Jay-Z's office. If I see Jay-Z right now, he would hug me. You know, he knows that it's Mr. Payne. So I met a lot of wonderful people that were just good people. And it's, you know, it's just the whole system, you know, of the way it's set up. I don't think it's the individual people, you know.
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I always say you never shoot the messenger. I mean, and
yeah.
basically the people working for the company, they're just trying to pay their bills as well. So they can only do what
Exactly,
what they can do.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's good. I'm a huge Jay-Z fan, so that's wonderful to hear that he is a nice person.
He's a real,
I'm happy to hear that.
I hope it doesn't change. I hope it doesn't change. But he's just very humble. You know, he's lucky enough to get a beautiful girl like Beyonce. But he's a very special person, and I was surprised. That was an eye opener to me. So yeah,
That's cool. And then your last child, he's very artistic as well, just in a different
yeah,
way.
yeah. He's a game designer. He's been designing games probably since he was 11. The strange thing about it, and I know also that bipolar people are more creative than other people. He's ADD. I mean, he was waking me up in the middle of the night with games. Like, mom, shake me. So when he said he wanted to go into, trust me, if it didn't go well with Chrisette, I don't know what would have happened with the others. Because I was not raised in a family where your kids are going to be stars like that. You know, we weren't raised like that. Like, get yourself a good city job, get a pension. So because I was beginning to realize, okay, my kids are from Mars, and and they need this creative space. By the time Sean started creating these games, my husband was like, choose the school that you want to go to. And he found a school in San Francisco, and he's doing amazing. And some of the things that I said to Chrissy, the teachers are saying to him, which is just, he's in a school that half of them are Asian. He is so gifted that he's actually running some of the classes. And he's if you think Chrissy's humble and shy, Sean is like calling me this stuff. I'm saying, yeah. I said, so what does the teacher say? The teacher said, well, listen to Sean. He knows. I said, yeah. So what happens is you just have to see a gift. You know what I mean? You just have to see it. You have to recognize that God gave it to him, and either you're going to support it or not support it. You know?
That's very important for parents to hear that, because there's so many talented kids out there that were stifled because mom and dad just didn't understand. And I can understand, you know, you may, just like you were a teacher. I mean, this was not your industry, and you and I both know the industry is a little different, and the people in it are a little strange.
Yes.
And not quite Christian like we are necessarily. So,
Exactly.
you know, you get involved in all sorts of craziness, and of course, with it being your child, you don't necessarily want to throw them into the lion den like that. You would prefer to protect them and have them. And I remember Chrisette, she told, we've done so many events together, but Chrisette told the kids at the center that she was going to be a teacher.
Yeah.
And then one day, she finally decided that she was going to major in voice, and what was it, vocal performance. And she decided to tell you that this is what I'm going to do. And thankfully, you supported her. And, you know, look where you guys are now. But, you know, there's so many parents. I won't forget, I had a friend that, you know, she wanted to perform, but for her parents, she was going to choose these other crazy majors that I didn't even know what they were, and I thought I was pretty bright. And I sat there and was like, what are you majoring in? And why? When I know that your heart is in this. And so, you know, you waste time doing that. My sister and I just recently went to the Dream Project, and actually I should connect you with them as well. Dream Project by Yagami Consulting Firm. And it was amazing to be in a room with that many dreamers, one. And I mean, when I say dreamers, I'm talking about people that wanted to be life coaches, you know, run businesses, entrepreneurs, just all across the board, movie, film, TV, you know, all across the board, not specifically, you know, just artsy people, but, you know, very smart people. As a matter of fact, there was 2 young ladies that have created this app that allows you to figure out what is best to put in your hair for natural hair.
Wow.
You know, so these are all sorts of people, and it was 300 of us, and it was just amazing to be in a room with that many dreamers that have a dream, and they were just trying to figure out, how do I make this dream happen? And so, and most of the people were probably over 35. So it was just amazing. But at the same time, recently we had Renee Seiler on the show, and she was saying how, you know, after the CBS Early Show fired her, she didn't know what to do, and she figured it out, and she just, you know, she started her brand, Good Enough Mother, and she went with it. And she said the huge thing is that people don't understand. You don't have to wait for a catastrophe to happen to make your dreams come true. You can do it right now. It just, you got to start now. And that's one of the things of the show, is that I want you to live life now. Don't say, well, I'll wait until. No, don't wait. Do it now. Now is the time to do it, because tomorrow's not promised. And you'd be amazed, if you follow your passion, the money will follow. It is so amazing. If you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, what God put you here to do, you will get paid to do it. And that is so important. My sister sent a question. What is your dream for your children and your family, and has it come true yet?
Well, the funny thing in what we're talking about is that the scariest thing right now for me to imagine is that my kids stop dreaming. So in this house, I'm the one with the sense, you have to understand. So it's not that I'm not creative. My husband is a dreamer. I mean, I could go on and on, where I had to realize, okay, these people, if I had shut up a long time ago, we would have been rich. This is my this is my 4th house. My husband is so gifted that he'd buy hut houses. I've never heard of a hut house. Seriously, I was from the project. I didn't hear much, but never. So we got married, and he started talking about HUD houses, HUD houses. And the HUD paper was coming to the house. I was like, what is this man talking about? He would show me all these houses like upstate, and look at all this land. And I'm telling you right now, Dr. Renee, we have sold houses for double constantly. I never heard of turning over your house. We was turning over houses our whole lives. So what happened to me was I realized, yes, it's good that I have a job. I like a paycheck, but God put me in the house with these dreamers. So let me make sure the bills are paid. Because it just, so when Chrisette started The Rich Hipster, and she told me about it, after fussing with her for 7 years, the record is due now, get up. They said, Chrisette, write the music now, so and so and so. And when she did that, and I had been through all of that, I said, I missed it. I'm not doing this anymore. She did okay, but this girl is brilliant. And I said, tell me more about this. She said, I don't know how much money it was going to. I said, do it. And I never forget that moment. Like I was, like you said, God put this website in your spirit for a reason. Do it. So then, now I say the same thing to Sean. I said, you told me about this game 5 times. How much is it going to cost? Oh, whatever. Okay, so that's your summer money. Do it. And now, it's funny. I guess the kids think mommy has lost her mind. I mean, I'm still, we should all live in Mars. But, it's just, dreamers are what make the world go on. We make sure everything's there so they can continue to dream. And that's it. That's it. The reason why I love what I'm doing is because if you mess with Chrisette Michele, you're getting fired. Period. If you want to talk to somebody who is logical, then talk to me. It's not like we were these people, these people have kids and all of a sudden the kids are in beauty school and all of this, walking around modeling. No. I am the one that said, you better teach because we don't know what's going to happen with that. I completely know that we must support our children's dreams. Whatever they are saying, we have to say it. We have to write. The Bible says, write the vision and make it plain.
Make it plain.
Make it plain. So I love being a manager. Of course, these are my kids. They get on my nerves. They're stubborn. I'm old, I don't know anything. But if all I have to do is support their dreams and they're making money, it's a piece of cake. So, yeah.
That's wonderful. I must say that there's someone, Alex R. Washington said that you thread dreams to reality. So he wanted to make sure I told you that.
Oh.
My sister said, what do you say to parents that tell their dreamers, get yourself a good city job?
There's no such thing as a good city job. Because my husband was a dreamer and he thought that we could raise a tribe downstairs from, some of the kids were even from Vietnam, and raise a household, and we managed to do it. If you were seeking happiness, you're going to come across a dreamer some kind of way. You can have 2 good city jobs and doing this and doing that. One of them is going to have this other side of the brain thing that we're talking about, creativity, and you've got to go into it. You've got to. So I just say that I admire what my parents did for me, but I am glad that I saw the other side of things also.
Right.
I'm happy.
Alex Washington wants to know, when should you not be an artist?
Does he mean a singing artist, or he just
I
means in
I
general?
I don't know. I think so though, because he said he has YouTube videos. So I'm presuming he's talking about singing as well.
Well, an artist, an artist almost has nothing to do with singing. Artists are like preachers,
Hmm.
but they have a voice to deliver the message. So if you want to just get into standing in front of people and calling attention to yourself without a message, that's a short-lived career. You might not survive. You might not be happy. To be an artist and to really free people and make them feel better, if you don't have that, then do something else. A lot of artists should be in management. They're only about the business. They don't care about the audience. I'm not paying to go see you. I'm not doing it.
Thank you.
So
And because I
yeah.
know too many people, I can't say who, but there is one artist that I'm like, you don't care about us. Like it is just so. I can see it every time I see you. I feel it that you just don't care. You turn it on when
Exactly.
you're out there, but as soon as you walk off, you could care less about these 20 million women screaming your name. You could care less.
I am not going to see or pay money for that person. And really, that person should not be an artist because you
Right.
are filling with hope and dreams that you love them and all it is, and you don't love anybody but yourself. So that's they shouldn't be artists.
Right. And I mean, because I've met so many people and for the most part, everyone I've met, they've been wonderful people and they're regular people just like, we are. And, but then there's just that one you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Perhaps this is not the right field for you because you are not a people person, one.
Right.
And clearly you just want to sell records, but you have to have more to that. You have to be able to perform. And if you perform and then, when I see you backstage, you're not friendly, I'm inclined not to spend my money again.
Exactly. And it gets out. You know what I mean? That whole
Exactly. And that's the thing. You don't want to be blackballed, but it does get out. If you are nasty to, everyone,
hmm
yeah.
definitely
And
gets out.
I mean, and as big as the entertainment industry is, it's actually really small. People
Yes.
know. People are like, wait a minute, it's really is kind of small.
Exactly.
Um,
Mhm.
oh, and Alex responded. He said he never thought of it that way. That was very deep, so he appreciated that answer.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
How do you keep your kids grounded? Because I mean, there's all this glitz and glam around them. How do you keep them grounded?
I can't see the glitz and glam. We joke about it. We joke about the shoes with the red bottom on them. I didn't even know what people were talking about after a while. I mean, I don't think if I am a zillionaire that I can do what some people are doing. I can't do it because I just can't. Maybe it's from my background. I don't know. So we talk about those things. We talk about, did you buy a house? Okay. Line up all of those shoes and jackets. Okay, that's a house right there. So we talk about that stuff in this family all the time. I know that artists have to look a certain way, but I try to tell my kids, if 9 people have on what you have on, then how is it different? What is it saying about you? So the glitz in this house is a big joke. It's a big joke. And unfortunately, the more glitzy I'm told, oh, you should do this, you do that. I am not, I can't stay in the mirror. I cannot stay in the mirror for 3 hours. I can't do it. Like
Right.
something else is going on. So it's yeah. And Chrisette has shown me that she can be both ways. I mean, she likes looking gorgeous, but she also likes to look natural sometimes. She'll just put on a scarf and go on a stage. We just keep it real. And I don't treat my children like stars. They are servants, and the real artists, not just them, the real artists, um, they want to make a difference in the world, you know. So the money that they make is poured into that difference again. So there's this whole thing of people thinking, oh, artists are just floating around, getting on boats and all this foolishness. My kids are not the only real artists, but I know who they are, you know?
Hmm.
And those
Yeah,
people are thinking, what does the world need to hear right now, you know? And those people we need to constantly keep in prayer. They carry burdens often. They have all kind of emotional problems because they sense the destruction or the problems in the world and all of this. That's the way they are, all every day, you know, so yeah.
definitely. I just saw Yasin Bey Friday in concert, and of course he took time to talk about Baltimore and Ferguson, and he sang a song dedicated to them. And you know, he's living out of the country right now because he said he just could not be as creative as he wanted to be here in the U.S. anymore. So,
Wow.
you know, it's just there's so much going on. I mean, there is a lot going on, especially to be a black man in America. It's a lot going on. And he
Glad you
said for the
yeah.
freedom that he needed to for his creativity, he said he had to leave. So, you know, they've been living in South Africa for a while now. So,
Oh, wow. Chrissy has spoken about that. Now, Caroline is waiting for the hand in this album, and she had her first studio session, and she too made a song about Baltimore. And I called her up. I said, "Now, Chrissy, you know, maybe we can do those as EP, but we have to make a regular album." And you could hear in her voice. It was another time when I realized, okay, these people are just special. Like all she could talk about, Mom, have you been watching the news? Do you know what's going on? And then my son came over and he was going back and forth. He has a girlfriend who's blonde and he was, you know, blue eyes, and he was going on. She didn't understand. She doesn't understand what's going on. And you know, they're very much alike. They were carrying it as if they were in Baltimore. And that's the way it is for these artists. You know, it's amazing.
it is. It really is. And I mean, and anything that anyone can, you know, and actually, you know, I guess Common was in Baltimore today and he's doing some things with the city. And so, you know, apparently some things are going to be coming out this week about things that they're doing to help with Baltimore. But you know, it's just it's a nationwide problem, unfortunately, and hopefully soon we won't have this problem anymore. I just pray because it's just getting ridiculous out here. And I mean, Chicago is not that much is not far off of probably a Baltimore happening. So we need to definitely, you know, we need to be very prayerful and we need to watch what we put out to the children.
Yeah, we have to see it for what it is. It's not
Yeah.
like say this stuff is not happening. You know what I'm saying? And that was a problem that he said that he mentioned, and somebody said, well, if you pay attention to it, you're making it bigger. And he was like, how could
No.
anybody say no? It is what it is. We we're just now realizing how many people were taken this way. It wasn't publicized.
Exactly.
The
Before the internet and all of the social media, we just didn't know. It was
yeah,
happening, we didn't know.
exactly,
Now it has come to the forefront because as soon as stuff happens, it shows up online and everyone knows about it.
exactly,
It's no
exactly.
longer a secret.
Right,
Because
which is
even
very
I did a blog post and actually Black Doctors shared it as well. I talked about the young man in New York that couldn't breathe. I saw that, and I think you know I have a severe asthmatic, and there was a
mhm,
time I was in a situation and I was pulled over, and mind you, I was trying to get home because I needed to get to my medication. And I told the officer, I ran that stop sign. Mind you, it was the middle of the night, nobody on the road. But I ran the stop sign because I'm trying to get home. I can't breathe. And I barely could tell him that. I really couldn't breathe. This man took his time, and I told him, well, sir, you have now pulled me over in front of my building. Can I please just go and get my medicine? You can stay here with the car. I'll leave it running. I just need to go get my medicine. And he's like,
wow,
no. And I mean, I literally could have died that night. I could not breathe. And
wow,
I understood what that man was talking about. He couldn't breathe, and I could hear it in him. The man was having an asthma attack. He was having trouble breathing. and you all jumped on him. My mother's like, where was he going to go? He couldn't breathe.
Right, right. No, it's just when the president went for the first time in, and we were crying. I remember we were all standing around in the room just crying because is this happening?
Right.
And I said to myself, he's going to survive and he'll be okay. We're not going to have one of those. I said, but they're going to go after us. That's all I said. And because now they're dealing with rich Black people, because our eyes are open, and we remember years ago we didn't have all these football players, basketball players. There's a new generation coming that's going to be living next door to you. You know what I'm saying? So
you're right.
All I could think is, I said, our young people better be careful. And I remember saying that to my husband. So unfortunately, I'm not surprised. This is a fight that we're in that has not ended. And just because he's the president doesn't mean that there's not still angry, people angry at that. And they're taking it out on the people who are benefiting from him being in there. So we just have to be wise. We have to be wise and figure out how to do this, how to stay alive.
Definitely. Yeah. That is a huge concern across the board. And I mean, I think every newspaper, every radio, talk show, everything is going to be talking about it for weeks. But sometimes, unfortunately, things have to happen for the discussion to be had. So maybe now is the time we need to have that discussion, and people need to realize that this is a problem and it needs to be addressed. So, you know, hopefully, and just like with the mental illness, I'm so glad that they showed that on the show, because that is a huge problem in our community.
Yes.
Huge problem.
Yes.
And we'd be foolish to sit here and act like it doesn't exist when, unfortunately, men and women and kids are killing themselves regularly.
Yes.
I heard a story of an 11-year-old that hung herself.
Wow.
This is serious. This is happening. And it's, you know, there, you have to understand, and you have to see the signs, and you have to not be ashamed to try and get the person help. You cannot be like, you know, you can't have the mentality of, oh, but then they're going to call my child crazy. No, you have to have the mentality of, this is a problem. It's an illness. And usually with medication, illnesses can be fixed.
Yes.
As well as with therapy, whatever the medication treatment could be. It could be therapy, it could be actual meds, whatever it is, but you have to recognize that this isn't normal, and you cannot be ashamed to admit that there is a problem. And that, I think that's the problem in the Black community, is we don't ever want to admit there's a problem. We just want to pray it away, and that's it.
That is a tremendous truth. Me and my husband are shocked at it. As you know, bipolar runs in families. I'm sure that you know this. But so therefore, there's a whole lot of relatives his age that are bipolar have the same symptoms. And nobody wants to address it as a whole group of us getting together as aunts and uncles or whatever, and combating this together. Because nobody wants to, I'm giving the devil space by calling it by what it is. You're giving the devil space by being ignorant. That's what you're doing.
Right. Exactly.
Ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
And like you said, most of these people are actually brilliant people. I think they said that some of the geniuses of the world had ADD and were bipolar, but they were geniuses, and they they were able to work through their issues so that they were able to, I mean, honestly, let's think about it. Thomas Edison created electricity. He had to be slightly crazy.
Yes.
There was no lights, and he had this dream that he could make light. I mean, he had to be slightly, something had to have been slightly different with him and in his brain for him to think of something like that.
Exactly.
And,
And these are the types of things that we talk about with Lem. I literally, one time I even got a list, and it had a lot of famous people's name on there. And I was like, look, Lem, Because I don't want to hear you say later, oh, mommy said I'm not gonna make it. I don't want to hear that mess. What I wanted him to see is you have to decide. You got a lot of options of how to control the mood swings or keep yourself level. Of course, he's one of those that refuses to take medication because he says it messes with his creativity.
Of course.
But he's, examining exercising, eating right, yoga.
Yoga, meditation.
Yes, yes. There's all types of things. So I showed him that list and I said, do these look like paupers to you? This one's on TV. Don't get it twisted. I want you to handle this, but I want the other side of your brain, the creative side that these people have, that's going to be your legacy,
Definitely.
So, hopefully I think he understands that because Chris said, we had to ask him, can we talk about it on the show before we started talking about it? And he was like, of course, and then he got on the show and started talking about it. So, yeah, I think he's talking about going to the schools and all of this now. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we're Facebook friends, and I've seen that he's been making, he's been posting status posts about it, and so it's great that he's, able to get out there. And I think because of his age and because of the generation he represents, he would be a great spokesperson to help other, older people and younger people to accept that this is real, and there's a whole lot more people just like him, but no one's saying anything. So I'm really, really proud and, glad that he is taking that on because it is so important.
Yes.
So we're at the end of the show, and I like to ask my rapid fire questions. You just say whatever the first thing is that comes to your mind. Finish this sentence. The world needs...
more support from the older generation.
I believe
that God called people into certain ministries and giftings.
Love
is fluffy, soft, warm, creative, and happy.
And my job is?
My job is to mentor people who dream, to help them to organize their dreams and to help them reach their goals in a sensible time frame. It sounds like a lot, right?
No, it makes sense. It makes sense. You're a dream builder.
That is my calling. I mean, you have to understand that through all of this, I found another calling. You know what I'm saying? So I speak to people who are bipolar all over, all the time. And what I find is that there's nobody helping them to organize their thoughts and make things happen. And so I got to go back to school.
Oh my hat's off to you if you're going back to school. God bless you. Yeah. I couldn't imagine, especially with the schedule you keep. I couldn't imagine.
Well, we're hiring.
And you know what? I also, sitting here talking to you, I remembered that you had a stroke a couple years ago, right?
Yeah, I had a stroke in 2011, and they found out that I have inherited a terrible heart. So I have a pacemaker. I'm on all this medicine. I don't mean to be crazy, but it probably was God's way of making me stay home more because
you need to slow down.
Yeah. I could not accomplish or have the thoughts that I do when I was running around with Chrissy. So while I'm on the back seat watching them, I'm learning more and I'm accomplishing more. So you got to trust that he's involved in all things.
I totally agree. Completely agree. And with that, I'm so glad that you are doing well and you are fine because, as you know, many people have strokes and they don't have the use of one side of their body or something, and, their speech, and you are great. So I'm very happy for that. But I will continue to pray for you because I have a relative that also has a pacemaker, and I know that that's serious business as well. But thank you so much for joining us this evening, and hopefully next time we can have your children. But in the very near future, we will get them. But thank you so much. I so appreciate you because, like I said, I know you are very busy. And I really appreciate all the nuggets and insight you gave us. We had a lot of tweets going, so I'm sure a lot of people that didn't see it will get that information. And then this video we will put at the bottom of the video. We'll definitely have Chrisette's website. And on her website, you can find out if you would like to book Chrisette or to book Miss Payne to speak. You can have her information will be on there as well. But everyone, thank you so much. As I said, Tuesday afternoon, it's going to be at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. We will have Umi, as in the song Umi Says by Mos Def, at Yasin Bey. We will have her talk about her family and how she became his manager and at 9 years old and got him to where he is now. So Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
All right. Thank you. Happy Mother's Day to all.